You think you know who you are until you solo travel, and then you question everything. Have you ever thought about traveling the world by yourself, but you weren't sure if you could do it or if you would even like it? That's how I used to feel as well, but after 20 years of solo traveling through more than 60 countries, my perception on solo travel has changed. So if you're thinking about doing it someday, then in this video, I'm going to share with you 15 things that might happen if you decide to solo travel. Also, if you're new to my channel and you comment on this video and subscribe for the first time, you'll be automatically entered to win a $350 Tortuga gift card that you can use for any backpack, luggage, or travel accessories on their website. The first thing that happens when you solo travel is you feel all of the feelings. You might feel nervous, you might feel anxious, you might feel scared, you might feel excited, and probably a combination of things. But just go with it because these are just emotions. They're going to pass and they're going to change. The very first time that I traveled somewhere by myself was to Costa Rica when I was 20 years old. And I was so nervous on the plane that I actually started crying as the plane landed. I can remember staring out the window at night and just seeing all of the lights go by, and it was even raining, and I just felt so scared and so alone and so apprehensive about what I was going to experience there. But fortunately, as soon as I got there, within a day or two, those nerves were replaced with just excitement and euphoria and the sense of freedom of being in a foreign country by myself for the first time. Another thing that will inevitably happen is that you're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to make mistakes, you might get lost, you might get scammed, but throughout all of those experiences, you're going to learn. And those uncomfortable experiences when you mess up, they are few and far between, and I've had them as well. I've been pickpocketed while buying pizza in Prague. I've been scammed exchanging money at the Nicaraguan border. And I once bought a car that was a complete lemon in Costa Rica and had to give it back. I mean, these things are going to happen. So just be aware that you're going to make mistakes sometimes because you're in a foreign place where you don't know the culture and you might not know anyone at first. So just be prepared that there might be a certain percentage of times that you make the wrong decision or you do the wrong thing in hindsight, but you can always learn from that and then you'll be stronger moving forward. And what this results in is that you develop a lot of street smarts and you learn to rely on yourself more. You become more independent, you become more resourceful, you become more resilient, and you just realize that you're capable of handling anything that life throws at you. And this can be a very empowering feeling when you're outside of your comfort zone, you're in another country, and you're having to figure things out on your own, regardless of how long you solo travel for, if it's for just a couple of days or weeks or months or even a year or more. When you come back to your hometown or your home country after doing that, you're going to have a lot more confidence that you were able to develop while you were troubleshooting and problem solving while traveling alone. I have some company here. Hello. How's everyone today? I don't have any food. Sorry. So you might learn a lot of really practical skills like street smarts, navigation, how to get around, lots of travel hacking skills so you can use your points and save money on travel. But you also might learn things that you didn't necessarily have to know before, like how to check your oil or water levels in your car, or figure out why your car broke down in the middle of Central America. But through those experiences, you also learn how to ask for help and depend on other people. And when you're traveling with someone else or you're traveling in a group, you might go for help within the group. But when you're traveling by yourself, you'll be able to rely on strangers. And you'll realize that traveling by yourself isn't that scary or dangerous, and that everybody out there just wants to help you. So for all of the times that I got a flat tire or my car broke down in the middle of Nicaragua, if it was in front of someone's house, people would always come out to help. They'd help me tow my car, or they'd pull over on the side of the road or something like that. And so you will find that you are able to ask for help and talk to strangers that you wouldn't talk to if you were in your hometown. But you also learn how to avoid attracting unwanted attention, and you learn how to protect yourself in very intuitive ways. You do start to develop this sixth sense that is a protection mechanism, and it's quite effective. I feel like my instincts have been sharpened so much from so many years of travel that even before I go somewhere, I can sense if it's a good idea or not. And there have been many times where I just had a gut instinct not to go with someone somewhere, or to leave a certain place or leave a house. And I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I know that this sixth sense has definitely been enhanced by years of traveling the world, and it hasn't failed me yet. You also meet a lot of people. Now, I've traveled with friends, family members, significant others. I've been on group tours. I've lived at co-living spaces and traveled with big groups of people. And even though you meet people when you go on group travel trips, there's something about traveling by yourself that makes you more open to meeting people, and it gives you more chances for that kind of serendipity to kick in. This can happen in the most unlikely scenarios, but it can also be something that you intentionally plan. So there have been times that I've literally just bumped into people on the street walking into a building, or one night when I was in Serbia crossing a bridge in Belgrade, I ran into two German guys and we ended up going to get pizza and becoming friends, and we're still in touch today. So it can happen completely by chance, but then you can also go to meetups and conferences and events, and even using apps like meetup.com or looking up events on Facebook. Going to things like that, you can meet so many other people, but you really only need to meet one person to be able to access their group of friends. And so really one thing leads to another, but I've used an app called A Small World to go to a dinner party in Berlin, and I met a ton of people from around the world that way. I used internations.org to join up with a group of people who were going to Oktoberfest, and I've used meetup.com and also even dating apps like Bumble, like dating and friendship and networking apps, to meet people around the world. So you can do that, but then you can also go to a conference or a big event in the place that you're traveling to. You can go to a digital nomad related event, but just going to one thing and just making that an effort to meet people, you'll meet more people than you can even be friends with. Along with the friends that you make when you're traveling by yourself, you'll also inevitably meet a special someone, or two or three. And this can be something as casual as a spring fling or a summer fling, but you can also meet your soulmate this way. And I've met so many solo travelers who met someone on the road and they ended up getting married. I met one of my long-term ex-boyfriends in Costa Rica. I've met past boyfriends on a beach in Croatia, while I was surfing in Bali, and even in a beer garden one time in Munich. So you never know when it's going to happen, but you can also use those apps and going to events and things like that to meet a significant other. And it's always really fun to date and have relationships when you're traveling, because it can almost feel like you're on a honeymoon. You might be in a very romantic scenario. You might be somewhere with a very beautiful backdrop, and that can just make it more fun and exciting. And sure, sometimes it doesn't last, and sometimes you're just passing through town and you might never see that person again. but sometimes it can actually result in a very significant and serious long-term relationship or even marriage. And that's one of the really fun parts of traveling by yourself, is just the people you meet and the people you date. But what about loneliness? This is something that is probably a big concern for you, because when you're solo traveling, you're by yourself a lot, right? But ironically, I actually feel less lonely when I solo travel than I did in my normal life before I ever started traveling. And I'm not really sure how to explain this scientifically, but if you've ever solo traveled before, maybe you can relate. But it has to do with, I think, getting to know yourself better and enjoying spending time with yourself, and also recognizing that your decision to solo travel is a choice. And so you're just kind of going on this journey with yourself, and you end up having a lot more quiet moments and just time to think, time to reflect on things. And you ultimately start to really enjoy your company. You start to know yourself better and know yourself more, like what you don't like, and you aren't afraid of experiencing loneliness, because you understand that it's a universal emotion that everyone can relate to and that everyone feels sometimes, and you're going to feel it whether you're traveling or not. I've felt lonely when I was at parties. I felt lonely when I was with family and friends, or when I was with a significant other. Feeling lonely doesn't mean you have to be surrounded by people to not feel lonely. Like, you can feel lonely standing in the middle of New York City, whether you're traveling or not, whether you're in a relationship or not, and whether you have 5 kids or not. Like, it's something that can just happen because we are humans. It's also a lot easier now with technology, because it's easier to stay in touch with people. We have social media, we have FaceTime, and I know what it's like to travel without the internet and also with the internet, and so that can help as well. And this is about finding a balance between alone time and also social time, because as I mentioned, you can meet a lot of people when you're traveling, and you can meet significant others, and you could end up being pretty busy actually. Also, with solo travel, you get to experience what ultimate freedom feels like. It's kind of like when you graduate from high school and you feel free for the first time because you don't have to go to class anymore. Kind of feels like that. Or when you get your driver's license and you can go wherever you want for the first time. Solo travel feels like that, but even more elevated. And you can do whatever you want to do in your day, but then you also get this feeling that you can do whatever you want at any time in your life. And this can be as simple as, waking up in the morning and asking yourself, what do I want to do today? And it could be go to the coffee shop. It could be open your laptop and do some work. It could be hop on a train or a plane and go somewhere else. I mean, I was in Brazil one day, and I just decided from one day to the next, I'm going to Buenos Aires. And I just often went to Buenos Aires for a month. But even today, just wanting to go for a walk outside and film this video, not having to answer to anyone or not having a schedule, especially if you're traveling and you're retired, or if you're traveling and you work remotely and you can set your own hours. That is something that even after 20 years of traveling under different circumstances, whether it was as a study abroad student or working for myself, it is something that never gets old. And of course, you could have some constraints with your work or with your finances, or with other people that you're going to be traveling with. But solo travel is this very surreal type of feeling where you just find yourself in some far off place with all of the freedom and potential that you could ever imagine. And I'm so grateful that we're living in a time where we're able to do this. And especially being a woman, I think being a single solo traveling female it never before has it really been possible until recent years for women to have so much freedom to be able to do whatever we want for work and live wherever we want and decide what we want to do with our time and have that financial and location freedom. So it's something that I really cherish. And even if I settle down someday, I'll continue to always travel. And even if I'm married or have kids, I will still solo travel because I really value these pockets and moments of freedom so much. And I feel like it's such a good opportunity to just connect with yourself and what you want from life, and not just from this day, but long term. Did I also mention that solo travel is really fun? You can have so many spontaneous adventures as you're meeting people and you're finding yourself in all of these different places, and it gives you the opportunity to have experiences that you wouldn't necessarily have at home. Like, I'm from Florida and I spent many years living in Costa Rica, and there were times that a friend and I would just ride our four-wheelers up the Pacific coast to go surfing for the weekend and like get a hostel and just go wherever the best waves were. There was a time that I got invited to a raw cacao dance party, like raw chocolate, where we're just eating chocolate and dancing in the rain. And I mean, the list goes on. Even if you only solo travel for a short amount of time, I'm sure that something really random and really incredible is going to happen. So you can have a lot of fun. You can meet up with other people and join their adventures. But then if you're solo traveling, you'll also inevitably have more quality time to yourself. And this can be time that you can use for just journaling, reflection, reading, but you can also use this time to pursue a hobby or learn a new skill or progress toward a goal. And I think that that's something that's very underrated about solo travel. It's not just about having Instagram-worthy adventures or meeting a ton of people, but it's also about getting to know yourself and giving yourself time and space to know what you want out of life without all of the noise and distractions. And so that's something that I really cherish about the opportunity of solo travel. Another very positive side effect of solo travel that can happen to varying degrees depending on how long you're traveling for is that you start to know yourself on a deeper level, and you start to figure out who you are outside of the influences from your home country, your community, your family, your school, your classmates, your workplace. And it's kind of like peeling back the layers of an onion. Like, you think you know who you are until you solo travel, and then you question everything. You can question your beliefs, you can question your religion, your political affiliation. And this can sound like, wow, that's a lot, but it does happen very gradually over time. And I think it can only be a positive thing the more that people get out there and travel, the wider you expand your worldview and the more that you question the things that you were told. I often say that I spent the first 7 years of my time traveling the world unlearning so many things that I thought to be true from growing up in the US. So I think this is a really interesting side effect of solo travel, but I think it is a positive for you and the people that you come in contact with. Another thing that I think happens, at least in my own case, is that you inevitably become a bit more humble, a bit more grateful, a bit more laid back and low maintenance. And I think that this is because the longer that you travel, especially if you're solo traveling, the more you're going to experience that very unglamorous side of travel. There could be moments when food is scarce, where you don't have hot water, where you don't have a comfortable place to sleep. Maybe you're sleeping on a floor or on a couch or in an airport. You experience some hardships, but then you also witness what other people are experiencing, and in many cases that could be living under very dire circumstances or very extreme poverty. And so I think it just makes you a bit more conscientious about what other people are going through, maybe have a little bit more empathy, and also be less likely to complain when things don't go your way, because when you travel, a lot of unplanned things can happen, and so things aren't always going to be perfect. And this is something that I notice a lot when I'm traveling with other people that maybe only get to travel 1 week per year on their 1 week of vacation, and so there's a lot of pressure to make it a perfect trip, a perfect holiday. And so you start to notice that, if the plane is delayed 20 minutes, sometimes people are going to be really upset, but that's not something that is going to bother me. And so that's when I start to notice those differences. And I wonder if before I started traveling, I was a bit more uptight about those things and less aware. And then a weird phenomena that I've noticed since I started solo traveling is that you start to remember more. Like, you start to associate memories with places and dates. Like, I can tell you that I broke down on my 4x4 in the middle of the rain at night on my way home in Costa Rica in October of 2005. I can tell you that in the spring of 2019, I was in Paris taking a travel writing workshop, and then I flew to Vilnius, Lithuania to meet with my friends Johnny and Sam. And I can remember spending my birthday in Positano, Italy in 2017. And when I'm back home in Florida, the days and the months and the years can kind of start to blur together. But when you solo travel, especially if you travel full time, being in different places allows you to remember these things more clearly. And kind of along the same lines of getting to know yourself better, when you travel alone, and especially if you travel abroad, you kind of stop caring what other people think. When you grow up at home and through childhood and adulthood, it can be very important what other people think, what people in your social circle think, what your coworkers think. And when you travel full time and when you solo travel, you get to know yourself very well, as I mentioned, and you just care less and less about what other people think back at home. You become more self-confident and more self-assured and thinking more about the big picture rather than how to escape the gossip circle. And another benefit of solo travel is that it can help you to blend in easier with your surroundings or to assimilate and integrate more with local culture. The more people that you're traveling with, the bigger the group and the faster that you're traveling, the harder this can be to achieve, to really integrate with the local community. But when you are traveling by yourself, you can be more approachable and you have more of those moments for serendipity and connection with local people outside of the comfort zone of your travel bubble or your friends or whoever you're with. So if you are solo traveling, then make sure to take advantage of that and strike up conversations with locals. Try to learn as much as possible about the place that you're visiting. And if you're traveling with other people or in a group, then just try to be mindful of that and either escape for some alone time where you can explore by yourself, or to be intentional about that being something that you want to do while you're there and get your other friends and travel companions on board. But whether you travel by yourself or with someone else, the important thing is that you travel. And no matter where you go or how long you stay, if you travel, your life will surely change. So I hope that this video helped you anticipate what you might experience if you solo travel the world. And if I missed anything, then let me know in the comments below. If you're new here, I'm Kristin. I make videos about travel, culture, and living abroad. Make sure you have your notification bells on so that you don't miss any new videos. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.